The entire kingdom rose to honor the new Alpha King as he stepped toward the ancient crown. This was the moment he had waited for his entire life, until the grand doors of the hall swung open. A woman walked in. The crown slipped from his hands. 3 years ago, he had buried her, mourned her, learned to live with the pain of losing his fated mate. Yet there she stood, alive, wearing the mark of an enemy pack. And she wasn't alone. 3 years before the coronation, life in the Frostvale pack had seemed unshakable. Ariana Vale believed she knew exactly who she was. She was the daughter of the pack's respected healer, a gifted wolf with a calm spirit, and the fated mate of Kalen Thorne, the future Alpha King of all the Northern Territories. Their bond had formed when they were barely 20, the moment their eyes met during the winter gathering. Every elder in attendance had felt the pull of destiny. For a while, it seemed like a fairy tale. Kalen was brave, loyal, and fiercely protective. Ariana was intelligent, compassionate, and strong in ways many overlooked. Together, they represented hope for a kingdom fractured by decades of rivalry between packs. But hope had enemies. The strongest among them was the Shadowfang pack. For generations, Shadowfang leaders had challenged Frostvale authority. Though no war currently raged between them, distrust poisoned every interaction. And recently, strange things had begun happening. Supply caravans vanished. Border patrols disappeared. Ancient treaties were stolen from secure archives. Each incident somehow pointed toward Shadowfang involvement. The kingdom stood on the edge of conflict. Kalen spent most days handling disputes alongside his father, Alpha Ronan Thorne. Every new report added pressure to his shoulders. Pressure changed people. Ariana noticed it before anyone else. The smiles became less frequent. The laughter faded. Even their conversations felt different. One evening, she found him standing alone atop Frostvale Cliff, staring across miles of snowy forests. "You've been avoiding me." Kalen didn't deny it. "The kingdom needs me. It always has." His jaw tightened. "And now it needs more." Ariana stepped closer. "We're supposed to face things together." For a moment, his expression softened. Then a messenger appeared from below. Another emergency. Another interruption. Another piece of distance settling between them. Ariana watched him leave. A strange unease settled in her chest. Weeks later, the kingdom received shocking news. A royal scout was found dead near the Shadowfang border. Beside the body lay a silver pendant. Ariana froze when she saw it. The pendant belonged to her. Or at least, it had once. She had lost it months earlier. Yet somehow it had appeared at a murder scene. Within hours, whispers spread through Frostvale. Questions followed. Accusations followed faster. How had her pendant reached the border? Who had taken it? Why now? Even Kalen seemed troubled, though he defended her publicly. Ariana could see uncertainty creeping into his eyes. That hurt more than the rumors. Then came the second blow. An elder presented testimony from a traveling merchant. The merchant claimed he had seen Ariana meeting secretly with Shadowfang wolves in the forest. It was a lie, a complete fabrication. But the damage was done. Trust cracked. Not everywhere, but enough. Ariana suddenly found herself watched, judged, doubted, even among wolves who had known her for years. Only her mother remained unwavering. "Someone is setting a trap," her mother warned. "But why?" "I don't know." That question haunted Ariana, because the attacks weren't random. Someone wanted her specifically. Someone was carefully destroying her reputation. Then, one night, she discovered something terrifying. Hidden beneath the floorboards of her home was a folded piece of parchment. She had never seen it before. The paper contained a map. Several kingdom routes were marked in red. Military routes, supply routes, confidential routes. If authorities found it there, it would look like evidence of treason. Her hands trembled. Someone had planted it. Someone had entered her home. Someone was preparing something far worse than rumors. Ariana rushed to find Kalen. But before she could reach him, alarms exploded across Frostvale. Wolves flooded into the streets. Guards raced toward the eastern gates. Fire illuminated the night sky. A royal convoy had been attacked, and witnesses were already claiming they had seen the attacker, a woman with Ariana's silver-white wolf. As panic spread through Frostvale, Ariana realized a horrifying truth. This wasn't merely an attempt to ruin her reputation. Someone was stealing her identity, and whoever they were had just committed a crime that could destroy everything she loved. As soldiers marched toward her home with orders from the Alpha Council, Ariana saw one face among them that made her blood run cold, a woman who looked exactly like her. The woman standing among the soldiers wore a hood, but Ariana only needed a glimpse of her face. It was like staring into a mirror. The same silver eyes, the same dark hair, the same sharp cheekbones. For a heartbeat, Ariana wondered if she had lost her mind. Then the woman smiled, a cold, knowing smile, and Ariana realized the stranger had expected to be seen. The soldiers pushed forward. By order of the Alpha Council, the captain announced, Ariana Vale is to be taken into custody for questioning regarding treason against the Northern Territories. Gasps spread to the crowd. Ariana's mother stepped protectively in front of her. This is madness. The captain looked uncomfortable. These orders come directly from the council. The hooded woman lowered her head and disappeared into the gathering crowd before Ariana could reach her. Within minutes, Ariana was escorted to the council chambers. The room felt colder than winter itself. Alpha Ronan Thorne sat at the head of the table. Beside him stood Kalen. His expression was unreadable. That hurt more than any accusation. The council presented witness statements, evidence, reports linking Ariana to the recent attacks, one piece after another. Every item looked convincing. Every item was false. Yet the pile continued growing. When Ariana finally explained that someone had planted evidence in her home and that she had just seen a woman who looked exactly like her, several council members exchanged doubtful glances. A convenient story, one elder muttered. It's the truth, Ariana replied. The elder shook his head. We have witnesses. You have lies. The debate lasted hours. By the end, no formal judgment was issued, but Ariana understood the reality. The council no longer trusted her. As she left the chamber, Kalen followed. For several moments, neither spoke. Finally, Ariana broke the silence. Do you believe them? His hesitation answered before his words did. I don't know what to believe. The response struck harder than a blade. For years they had shared everything. Dreams, fears, promises. Now uncertainty stood between them. You think I could betray you? No. His voice cracked. But someone is making it look possible. Ariana stared at him. She wanted him to fight for her, to trust her. Instead, he looked trapped between love and duty. For the first time, she felt truly alone. That night, she returned home exhausted. Her mother was waiting. Without a word, she locked every door and shuttered every window. Something was wrong. What happened? Ariana asked. Her mother's face had gone pale. We need to leave. Ariana blinked. Leave. Now. Before she could ask another question, her mother retrieved an old wooden chest hidden beneath the hearth. Ariana had never seen it before. The chest was covered in ancient markings, symbols older than Frostvale itself. With trembling hands, her mother opened it. Inside lay a silver necklace shaped like a crescent moon. Beneath it rested a faded journal. Ariana, her mother whispered, there's something I've hidden from you your entire life. The room seemed to shrink around them. What are you talking about? Her mother opened the journal. The first page contained a family crest Ariana didn't recognize. A crown encircled by wolves. This is not the crest of Frostvale. No. Her mother swallowed hard. It's the crest of the lost kingdom of Lenara. Ariana stared at her. The name sounded familiar, like a half-forgotten legend. Children were told stories about Lenara, an ancient bloodline that had vanished centuries ago. A royal family erased from history. They weren't erased, her mother said quietly. They were hunted. Ariana's pulse quickened. What does that have to do with me? Her mother's eyes filled with tears. Everything. The words hung in the air. Then came the truth. Ariana was not born in Frostvale. Her real parents belonged to Lenara's royal bloodline. When enemies destroyed their kingdom, a handful of survivors escaped. Among them was a newborn girl, Ariana. She had been hidden and raised under a different name to protect her from those who wanted the Lenara line extinguished forever. For years, the secret remained buried. Until now, Ariana struggled to process it. Everything she believed about herself suddenly felt uncertain. Her family, her identity, her past, all of it had been built on hidden truths. Why tell me now? Because someone else knows. A heavy silence followed. Then her mother revealed the final piece. The woman you've been seeing. Ariana's breath caught. You know who she is? Her mother nodded. Yes. Who? The other surviving heir of Lenara. Ariana froze. The mirror-faced stranger was an imposter. She wasn't randomly chosen. She was connected to Ariana. Connected by blood. Connected by a history someone had desperately tried to bury. A loud crash suddenly echoed outside. Both women turned toward the window. Voices filled the street. Shouts. Orders. Boots. Dozens of them. Ariana rushed to the curtains and looked outside. Her heart stopped. The house was surrounded, not by Frostvale guards, but by warriors wearing the crest of Shadowfawn. And standing at their front was a woman with Ariana's face. This time she wasn't hiding. She looked directly at Ariana and smiled. Then she spoke words that changed everything. Hello, sister. Ariana discovers a woman framing her as not an enemy impersonator, but her own sister, a lost heir of Lenara. As Shadowfawn warriors surround house, the sister reveals she has come for something that rightfully belongs to both of them. The word echoed through Ariana's mind. Sister. The woman standing outside looked almost identical to her, yet everything about her felt different. Where Ariana carried warmth, this woman carried steel. Where Ariana sought peace, this woman radiated purpose. Shadowfawn warriors stood behind her, waiting, not as guards, as followers. Ariana's mother stepped forward immediately. You shouldn't have come here, Celine. The stranger's smile faded. So you still remember my name. Ariana stared at her mother. You knew she was alive? Tears filled her mother's eyes. I thought she was gone. Celine laughed bitterly. That makes two of us. Before anyone could react, Shadowfawn warriors burst through the doors. Chaos erupted. Furniture shattered. Windows exploded inward. Ariana instinctively shifted into her wolf form, placing herself between her mother and the attackers. But something strange happened. The warriors weren't targeting her. They were targeting the chest, the journal, the necklace, the proof of Lenara. Celine walked calmly through the destruction. Take the relic. One warrior grabbed the silver moon necklace. Another seized the journal. Ariana lunged. Too late. Celine caught her wrist. The contact sent an unexpected surge through Ariana's body. Not pain, recognition. The same bloodline, the same ancient power. For a split second, both sisters felt it. Celine's confident expression flickered, then hardened again. You're weaker than I expected. Ariana pulled free. What do you want? The truth. Celine glanced toward Ariana's mother. A truth she stole from both of us. The accusation hung heavily in the room. Then Celine revealed her story. After the fall of Lenara, the surviving heirs had been separated. Ariana had been hidden and protected. Celine had not. She had spent years running, hiding, fighting, watching friends die to keep the royal bloodline secret. While Ariana grew up surrounded by love, Celine survived alone. Every word deepened Ariana's guilt, not because she was responsible, but because she understood the pain behind it. We were both victims, Ariana said quietly. Celine's eyes flashed. No. Her voice cracked for the first time. You got the life that should have been ours. For a moment, Ariana saw the wounded girl beneath the anger. Then it vanished. The warriors withdrew with the stolen relics. Celine followed. Before leaving, she turned back. Everything is about to change. Then she disappeared into the darkness. The attack left Frostvale shaken. But worse was yet to come. By dawn, the entire kingdom knew the rumors. Ariana's connection to the Lost Kingdom, the attack, the Shadowfawn warriors, the mysterious sister. Stories spread faster than facts. Most people reached the same conclusion. Ariana had betrayed Frostvale. This time, even her supporters struggled to defend her. The council convened an emergency gathering. Every elder attended. Every major pack sent representatives, and Ariana stood alone before them. The hearing lasted for hours. Evidence was presented. Witnesses testified. Fear controlled the room. When the final vote came, the outcome felt inevitable. Alpha Ronan rose from his seat. His voice carried throughout the chamber. Ariana Vale is hereby stripped of all standing within Frostvale until her loyalty can be proven. A painful silence followed. Then came the second judgment. The mate bond between Ariana Vale and Kaelin Thorne is officially suspended. The words hit harder than any physical blow. Ariana looked toward Kaelin. He stood frozen, shocked, conflicted, but he said nothing, not a single word. That silence shattered something inside her. The man who once promised to stand beside her now stood among those casting her out. Perhaps duty demanded it. Perhaps fear demanded it. Either way, the result was the same. Ariana had lost him. Days later, she packed what little remained. The villagers she had grown up with avoided her gaze. Friends crossed the street rather than speak. The life she knew was disappearing piece by piece. Only her mother stayed beside her until the final tragedy. The attack came without warning. A small group of mass hunters ambushed them while traveling through the Silver Pine Pass. The fight was brief, brutal. Ariana managed to drive them back, but not before one blade found its target. Her mother collapsed into her arms. "No," Ariana whispered. "No, no, no." Her mother smiled weakly. For the first time, she looked tired, not frightened, not desperate, simply tired. "There's something I never told you." Ariana gripped her hand. "Save your strength. You need to hear this." Blood stained the snow around them. Her mother's voice grew softer. "The crown of Lenara." Ariana leaned closer. "Belongs to neither daughter." Confusion filled her. What does that mean? Her mother looked directly into her eyes. "It belongs to the true heir." Ariana's pulse quickened. What true heir? Her mother's lips trembled. Then she spoke her final words. "Find the hidden prince." Before Ariana could ask another question, the light faded from her mother's eyes. The silence that followed felt endless. Ariana sat alone in the snow. Her mother was gone. Her mate was gone. Her home was gone. Her name was ruined. Everything she loved had been taken. And somewhere in the kingdom, a hidden prince existed. A prince connected to the mystery that had destroyed her life. As night fell, Ariana buried her mother beneath an ancient pine tree. Then she made a choice. She would find the truth, no matter what it cost. But miles away, in the fortress of Shadowfawn, Celine opened a stolen journal. A folded letter slipped from between its pages, one that had remained hidden for years. As she read it, the color drained from her face, because the letter revealed a secret neither sister knew. They were not the only surviving heirs of Lenara, and the hidden prince had already claimed a seat beside the throne of the future Alpha King. Ariana has lost her home, her reputation, her mate, and her mother, but the greatest revelation is still to come. The hidden prince of Lenara is already inside Frostvale, closer to Kaelin than anyone could have imagined. For weeks after her mother's death, Ariana traveled alone. The forest beyond Frostvale stretched endlessly before her. Cold winds swept through ancient pines. Every mile carried her farther from the life she had lost. Yet something unexpected was happening. The grief that had nearly broken her was transforming into determination. For the first time, Ariana was relying on her family, or Kaelin, or the pack that had once defined her identity. She was learning who she truly was, and the answer frightened her, because strange abilities were beginning to emerge. At first, the signs were subtle. Animals seemed drawn to her presence. Ancient symbols carved into forgotten stones glowed when she passed. Her senses sharpened beyond anything she had experienced before. Then came the dreams. Every night she saw the same vision. A silver city hidden beneath moonlight, a throne surrounded by wolves, and a crown resting upon black stone. The crown of Lenara, the crown everyone believed was lost forever. In each dream, a voice called her name. Not Ariana, but another name. The name she had carried before her life was stolen. Arya. The voice sounded familiar, comforting, as though it belonged to someone she had loved long ago, someone waiting for her. The dreams guided her eastward, to a forgotten mountain range known as the Ashen Peaks. Few wolves traveled there. Legends claimed ancient guardians still protected its ruins. Most dismissed such stories as myths. Ariana no longer believed in myths. Too many impossible things had become real. After several days, she finally reached a hidden valley. The moment she stepped inside, a powerful energy surged through her body. The air felt different, older, alive. Massive stone pillars emerged from the mist. Ancient structures rose from the mountainside. Ruins, not ordinary ruins. Lunara, her heart pounded. She had found the lost kingdom. The city had been abandoned for centuries, yet traces of its former beauty remained. Moon-shaped arches, silver carvings, statues of wolves standing guard over empty streets. Ariana wandered through the silent city until she reached the center. There, waiting beside an ancient fountain, stood someone unexpected. Celine. Her sister looked just as shocked. For several moments neither spoke. Then Celine lowered her weapon. "You saw the dreams too." Ariana froze. "The city called you?" Celine nodded. "It called both of us." The realization changed everything. Neither sister had been chosen. Both had been summoned. Reluctantly, they shared what they knew. The hidden prince, the stolen journal, the mysterious letter. Together, they pieced together fragments of a larger truth. Someone had manipulated events for years. Someone powerful. Someone positioned close enough to influence Frostvale leadership itself. The sisters weren't enemies. They had been made enemies. That revelation didn't erase their pain, but it created a fragile alliance. For the first time since they met, they stood on the same side. The search led them beneath the city. Deep below the ruins, they discovered a sealed chamber. Ancient runes covered the walls. At the center stood a pedestal. Upon it rested a crystal sphere glowing with silver light. As Ariana approached, the sphere awakened. Images flooded the chamber. Memories, history, truth. The sisters watched in stunned silence. They saw the fall of Lunara. Not a war, not an invasion, a betrayal. One of Lunara's own rulers had secretly allied with rival pacts to seize power. The royal family had been hunted from within. Then came the final revelation. The traitor's bloodline had survived. Generation after generation, hidden among the ruling families of Frostvale, the descendants of the traitor still existed, and they had spent decades eliminating every surviving heir of Lunara. Ariana felt sick. Everything suddenly made sense. The false accusations, the stolen pendant, the attacks, the destruction of her reputation. It had never been about Shadowfawn. It had never been about pack politics. It had always been about the throne. Then the crystal revealed one final memory. A face appeared. A young man, dark hair, gray eyes, a royal marking glowing on his wrist. Ariana immediately recognized him. So did Celine. Both sisters stared in disbelief, because they knew exactly who he was. He wasn't a stranger. He wasn't hidden in some distant land. He had been standing beside Kaelin for years. Trusted, respected, loyal. The future Alpha King's closest friend and advisor. Lysander Voss. The very man who had helped investigate Ariana's supposed crimes. The same man who had encouraged doubts about her. The same man who always seemed to appear whenever disaster struck. And according to the crystal's memory, he wasn't merely connected to Lunara. He was a hidden prince, the true heir, the one person standing between the sisters and the throne. Before either woman could speak, footsteps echoed through the chamber. Ariana turned sharply. A shadow emerged from the darkness. Slowly, calmly, as though he had been expecting this moment all along. Lysander Voss stepped into the silver light, and he wasn't alone. Behind him stood dozens of armed warriors. He smiled, not like a friend, not like an ally, like a man whose secret had finally been discovered. "Congratulations," he said quietly. "You finally found the truth. The hidden prince is Lysander Voss, Kaelin's most trusted advisor and closest friend. He is the last male heir of Lunara and has secretly manipulated events for years, turning Ariana and Celine against one another while positioning himself to claim ultimate power. The silence inside the chamber felt heavier than stone. Lysander Voss stood beneath the silver glow of the crystal sphere, surrounded by armed warriors. For years, he had worn the mask of a loyal advisor, a trusted friend, a respected leader. Now the mask was gone. Ariana felt anger rise inside her. So it was you? Lysander smiled calmly. Most of it, yes. Beside her, Celine's hand tightened around her weapon. You framed us. I protected myself. His answer carried no shame, no regret, only certainty. The realization chilled Ariana more than any threat. Lysander truly believed he was justified. You destroyed lives, she said. You were obstacles. The words landed like blows. Everything suddenly fit together. The planted evidence, the false witnesses, the stolen pendant, the attacks, the years of manipulation. Lysander had orchestrated it all, not because he hated Ariana or Celine, because he feared them, feared what they represented, the surviving heirs of Lenara, proof that his claim was not uncontested. Lysander slowly approached the crystal. Do you know what I learned growing up? His voice echoed through the chamber. I learned that kingdoms fall because weak rulers cling to sentiment. He looked directly at Ariana. Your mother hid the truth. He turned toward Celine. You chased revenge. Then he touched his chest. And I built power. For a moment, neither sister spoke, because a painful part of his argument held truth. They had been reacting, surviving, enduring, while Lysander had spent years preparing. Yet something about his confidence felt fragile, like a crack beneath polished stone. Ariana finally understood. Lysander wasn't driven by strength. He was driven by fear. Fear of losing control. Fear of losing the throne. Fear that someone else might be chosen. You don't want Lenara restored, Ariana said quietly. You want ownership. His expression hardened. The strike had landed. The chamber grew tense. Then another voice echoed from the entrance. She's right. Everyone turned. Ariana's heart nearly stopped. Kaelin Thorne stepped into the chamber. Several Frostvale warriors followed behind him. Dust covered their clothing from hard travel. Exhaustion lined their faces. But Kaelin's eyes never left Lysander. Shock flashed across the hidden prince's face. For the first time, he looked uncertain. You followed me. Kaelin's jaw tightened. I followed the evidence. The words carried years of friendship, years now broken. Ariana stared at him. This was the first time they had seen each other since her exile. 1,000 emotions surged through her. Pain, love, anger, longing, regret. Kaelin looked at her as though carrying those same burdens. Then his gaze lowered. I should have trusted you. The admission hurt, not because it was cruel, because it came too late. Ariana remained silent. Some wounds required more than words. Lysander laughed bitterly. So the great Alpha finally sees the truth. You betrayed everyone, Kaelin replied. No. Lysander's voice sharpened. I saved everyone. He stepped closer. You think Frostvale survives because of honor? His eyes burned with conviction. It survives because people like me make impossible decisions. The argument quickly escalated. Old loyalties shattered. Years of hidden resentment surfaced. Kaelin revealed that he had secretly reopened Ariana's investigation after discovering inconsistencies in witness statements. Several reports had been altered. Evidence had disappeared. Records had been forged. Every trail eventually pointed toward one person, Lysander, the man he had trusted most. The revelation visibly shook the warriors standing behind him. Many had respected Lysander for years. Now they questioned everything. The balance of power inside the chamber began shifting. Lysander noticed it immediately, and he made his final move. You still don't understand. His voice suddenly softened, almost sympathetic. Then he turned toward the crystal sphere. The throne was never meant for Ariana. Ariana frowned. What are you talking about? Lysander smiled, asked the crystal. Before anyone could stop him, he struck the pedestal. Silver light exploded through the chamber. Images flooded the room once more. Ancient memories, forgotten history, the final truth. Everyone watched in stunned silence. The royal family of Lenara appeared before them. The king, the queen, Their children, Ariana, Celine, and another figure, a boy, a child hidden from official records, a secret heir, the true firstborn, the rightful successor, the heir who should have inherited everything. Ariana's breath caught. She recognized him instantly, not from memory, from resemblance. The boy looked almost identical to Kalen. The chamber fell silent. No one moved. No one breathed. Then the crystal revealed the impossible. The secret heir had survived. He had been hidden within another bloodline, raised under another name, protected for decades, and his descendants still lived. Ariana slowly turned toward Kalen. Understanding crashed into her like a storm. The hidden prince had never been Lysander. Lysander had lied. Again, the true royal bloodline flowed somewhere else, somewhere far closer. Lysander's smile widened, because he knew everyone had reached the same horrifying conclusion. Kalen stared at the final image. His face had gone completely pale. Then the crystal spoke a single sentence in an ancient voice. A sentence that changed everything. The last rightful heir of Lenara stand before the crown. The silver light suddenly shifted, not toward Ariana, not toward Celine, toward Kalen Thorne. Lysander's greatest lie is exposed. He was never the hidden prince. The crystal reveals that Kalen, the Alpha King himself, is the last rightful heir of Lenara and the true claimant to the lost throne. As the chamber erupts into chaos, no one knows whether Kalen will become Ariana's salvation or her greatest obstacle. The chamber fell into stunned silence. Every eye was fixed on Kalen Thorne. The silver light of the crystal surrounded him, illuminating the royal marking that had suddenly appeared beneath the skin of his wrist. No one spoke. No one moved. For years, the kingdom had searched for answers. For years, wolves had lied, manipulated, and fought over the lost throne of Lenara. And now the truth stood before them. Kalen wasn't merely the future Alpha King of Frostvale. He was the last rightful heir of Lenara. Even Kalen looked shaken. Ariana saw genuine confusion in his eyes. This wasn't a secret he had hidden. It was a truth he had never known. Lysander's expression darkened. The carefully controlled confidence he had worn for years finally cracked. "No," he said quietly. Then louder, "No." His voice echoed through the chamber. "This is impossible." But the crystal continued glowing. The truth could no longer be buried. Lysander had spent years believing he was destined to rule, years eliminating threats, years manipulating both kingdoms, only to discover he had never been the heir at all. He had merely been a descendant of the traitor who destroyed Lenara centuries ago. The realization broke him. Every sacrifice, every lie, every betrayal built upon a false belief. Ariana watched as a man who had controlled everyone's lives suddenly looked lost. Not powerful, not invincible, just lost. For a moment, she almost pitied him. Almost. Then she remembered her mother, the years of suffering, the lives destroyed by his choices. Kalen stepped forward. "It ends here." Lysander laughed bitterly. "You still don't understand." His eyes moved between Ariana and Kalen. "Do you think this changes anything?" He pointed toward the crystal. "The kingdom won't accept this." He pointed toward Ariana. She was accused of treason. He pointed toward Celine. She leads Shadowfawn warriors. Then he looked directly at Kalen. "And you abandoned the woman you claimed to love." The words struck like arrows, because they were rooted in painful truths. For a moment, no one spoke. Then Kalen did something Ariana never expected. He lowered his head, not to the crystal, not to the warriors. To her, "I failed you." The admission echoed through the chamber. Ariana stared at him. "I should have trusted you." His voice was steady. "I should have stood beside you when everyone else turned away." Years of pride disappeared from his face. What remained was honesty. "I can't change what I did." He met her eyes. "But I will spend the rest of my life proving I learned from it." The chamber remained silent. No excuses, no defenses, only truth. And for the first time since her exile, Ariana believed him, not because he was perfect, because he finally understood the cost of his mistakes. Beside her, Celine watched quietly. Something in her expression had changed as well. The anger that had driven her for years seemed exhausted. The search for revenge had brought her here, but revenge had never healed her wounds. Truth had. Family had. For the first time in her life, she wasn't alone. She had a sister, a real sister. The realization softened something inside her. Meanwhile, the warriors surrounding Lysander began lowering their weapons. His influence was gone. His lies had been exposed. His followers no longer saw a visionary leader. They saw a man consumed by obsession. Realizing he had lost, Lysander looked toward the crystal one final time. Then he laughed, a sad, hollow sound. I spent my whole life chasing a crown. His gaze lowered and forgot to become worthy of one. No one answered, because there was nothing left to say. The battle was over, not through violence, through truth. Days later, representatives from every major pack gathered in Frostvale. For the first time, Shadowfang and Frostvale leaders sat together, not as enemies, as allies. The evidence against Ariana was publicly dismantled. Every false accusation was exposed. Every lie was corrected. Her name was restored. The kingdom finally learned what she had endured. More importantly, Ariana no longer needed their approval. The frightened young woman who once depended on others for her identity was gone. She had discovered who she truly was, and that strength could never be taken away. As for the throne of Lenara, another surprise awaited. Ancient records recovered from the hidden city revealed a forgotten condition. The throne could never belong to a single ruler again. The last king had changed the law before Lenara fell. To prevent future corruption, the kingdom will be governed by a council formed from all surviving royal bloodlines. Ariana, Celine, and Kaelin, not rulers above others. Guardians serving together. For the first time, none of them had to fight for power. They could choose unity instead. Months later, the day of Kaelin's coronation finally arrived. The grand hall overflowed with wolves from every territory. The same ceremony that had once been interrupted by shock and mystery now carried a different feeling. Hope. Kaelin approached the ancient crown, but before placing it upon his head, he turned toward the crowd, toward Ariana, toward Celine. Then he did something unexpected. He invited both women to stand beside him. The hall erupted in applause, not because of tradition, because of what it represented, a new beginning. As the ceremony ended, Ariana stepped onto the palace balcony overlooking the kingdom. Snow drifted softly through the air. For a moment, she thought about everything she had lost. Her old life, her certainty, her mother. The pain would never disappear completely, but it no longer controlled her. Footsteps approached. Kaelin joined her. Neither spoke immediately. The silence felt comfortable now. Finally, he smiled. Do you think your mother would approve? Ariana looked toward the horizon, then smiled back. I think she'd be relieved. Why? Because after everything we went through, she glanced at the kingdom below. We finally stopped fighting over who deserved the future and started building one together. Kaelin laughed softly. For the first time in years, so did she. Below them, the united pack celebrated long into the night. And beneath the glow of the moon, Ariana realized something important. The greatest victory had never been reclaiming a throne. It had never been exposing a traitor. It had never been proving her innocence. The greatest victory was becoming someone who could survive betrayal, loss, and heartbreak without losing herself. The girl whose world had once shattered was gone. In her place stood a woman who knew exactly who she was. And that was something no one could ever take away. The end.